Hi everyone, this is Marianne and welcome to my channel. Today I would just like to share with you that I was finally able to find a way to make an A5 sized 5 millimeter line grid or graph notebook using Elias Paper. This one here has 300 pages, but I can also make this in a 500-page version. I have a video about how the 500-page notebooks look like, which I will link in the description box, as well as a video comparing Elias Paper and the Midori MD paper, which I will also link in the description box. Elias Paper is made to work with fountain pens. Writing will not feather or bleed through on Elias paper, even with the italic nibs and the super broad nibs. If you have been around my channel for a while, you already know that I make these notebooks for sale, and one of their best features, which people actually buy it for, is that it lies flat when it's opened and it stays flat and open. It does not close itself on your hand while you're writing in it, and that's the case no matter what page you're on, whether you're in the beginning of the notebook, in the middle of the notebook, or near the end of the notebook. And that is because the notebook is made of signatures that are stitched individually first and then stitched together as a text block and then glued with the spine ultimately covered by this soft gray fabric that allows the notebook to lie flat when opened. And because of that, you can also bend the notebook backwards on itself as far back as you can, and it will not come apart. So it's all right. Don't be afraid. The covers are made of 3 layers of white 200 GSM cardstock glued together, so it's very sturdy. 3 layers for the front cover and 3 layers for the back cover. So you cannot really curl the covers because they are thick and very sturdy, and they will help protect your notebook even if you don't use a separate external cover for it. Over time, the notebook spine will get a little curved as you keep opening and closing the notebook, and it will also become even more curved if you paste things on the pages, which will make the notebook chunky, but still the notebook is not going to come apart. Just look at my old notebook right here. As you can see, I have pasted things on the pages. I've pasted a lot of things on the pages that made the notebook chunky, but the spine was able to adjust by curving in this manner. This notebook that I am using has the unique serial number 002. This is the 5 millimeter ruled notebook that I'm using as my journal. I have a video about my recent return to journaling and I will link it down below. But this notebook with a 5 millimeter line grid, the new notebook that I just made, has the unique serial number of 560. All the notebooks that I make have a unique serial number. This notebook is standard A5 size, which is 148 millimeters wide and 210 millimeters high, and it's around 20 millimeters thick, which is more or less the same dimensions as the Hobonichi Cousin, which is also standard A5 but is about 1 millimeter thinner. I have designed the dimensions to be that way because I myself use these notebooks and I place them inside the Hobonichi Cousin covers, which I have a small collection of. I have some videos about my Hobonichi Cousin covers, which I will link down below. Here is one cover for my collection. To place the notebook inside the Hobonichi cover, you just bend both of the covers backwards like this, and then insert them into the pockets of the Hobonichi cover one at a time, and then nudge the notebook into place. Because like I said, you cannot curl the covers because they are thick and sturdy and kind of stiff. So this is how you do it. Now, my actual preferred rule is the line grid or the graph. I use the line grid or the graph for my own planners, which I have always made for myself for several years now. And if you have been on my channel long enough, you will see that I make my own planner pages with the line grid already printed on them. So I have always wanted to make a line grid or a graph notebook like this one, but I was never able to find a way to print the pattern on these notebook sheets in a way that is aligned and centered until now. So I am very happy to be able to share this news with you. This graph is exactly 5 millimeters square, so it is the same horizontally and vertically. It's really, truly 5 millimeter square. And the trickiest part with making a graph notebook that's made of stitched signatures like this one is that a grid line must be at the exact center of the notebook, like you can see here where the fold is. That, I believe, is a crucial requirement, but which I was never able to achieve before, but as you can see, I was able to finally achieve now. And because the graph is centered on the stitching and all of the lines align horizontally as well, you can write all the way across 2 pages without interruption. And you can also write in portrait mode. You can flip the notebook this way and write like that as if you were writing on one full-sized A4 sheet of paper, because A5 is half the size of A4, so if you open this A5 sized notebook, it's actually going to be A4 sized. And you can do that without any distraction because the grid is centered where the fold of the signature is, and that is also where one grid line is. I hope that makes sense. And by the way, you can also do this when you are on the dot grid because that is the concept of the grid. You can write on a notebook no matter how it is oriented. So that grid line located at the exact center of the notebook where the spine is just wonderful and makes this notebook a joy to use. Now, the only place where that doesn't happen is at the spread in between two signatures. Like here, as you can see, this is one signature and next to it is another signature. Each signature is stitched individually, like I said, but when putting the entire text block of the notebook together, the signatures are also stitched together and then glued, and some of the glue will seep in between signatures about half a millimeter into the space between two signatures. It is a teeny tiny sliver of glue. And that is actually necessary in order to make the binding more solid, so the binding of the notebook will not come apart even if you get a little rough with the notebook. But that is all, that is all. In all of the other spreads, the grid is continuous. This notebook has 15 signatures, so this kind of phenomenon where one grid line is like covered up by glue happens only 14 times across the entire notebook, which is necessary for the binding to be solid. Other than the 14 times, you can totally have a blast enjoying the uninterrupted 5 millimeter graph. And these notebooks are now available to order online from me. I will leave a link in the description box. For now, I can only make them in A5 because the grid or the graph still won't align when I try to print for the A6 notebook. I'll figure it out in time, but for now, I can already make the A5 graph notebooks for you. Thanks for watching. Bye.